Hello again, all you lovely witches and seekers. It's Ryan, aka Dark Winter Moon, and today what I wanted to share with you is a very special video on a ritual I wrote called the Solitary Samhain-Time Ritual. This is a reposting of a video I've already done. This ritual, this spell is near and dear to my heart, and I wanted to share it with you again. But before we get into that, I have a quick ask. I wanted to thank each and every one of you for all the ways you support me, and I could desperately use your help. I have desperately been struggling to support myself with my Etsy shop and my YouTube channel, and I am not quite making ends meet. For as little as $2 a month, you could support me on Patreon, and every month at that $2 level, you'll get a free digital download of any one of my sigils from my Etsy shop. And the tiers and perks go up from there. My Patreon and all the ways you can support me are linked below in the pinned comment. It's so hard for me to ask for money. It's so hard for me to admit even to myself that I'm struggling, and I am working through that and doing the shadow work and all the work to get over that. And like I said, I just need your support. And there are also many other ways that you can support me. So checking out my website and getting a tarot or rune reading are also very helpful. And even if you can't do any of those things, every way you support me is so greatly appreciated. So like I always say, comments, likes, subscribes. Comments are one of my favorite things because I get to help each one of you individually in real time. I love that. And like I said, I just need your help and I need your support. I love doing this and I want to continue to be able to do it for you. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hello everyone. It's Ryan again with Dark Winter Moon in Boston. And today I wanted to share with you all a spell that I wrote several years ago, specifically for this time period, this time of year, when summer is giving away to autumn. We're approaching Samhain or Halloween, and the world is shifting, the world is changing, the veil is thinning, the leaves are falling. So I wrote this very special spell several years ago that I wanted to share with you all. So the point of this ritual is to really acknowledge and invoke the spirit and energies of this time. It's not only about celebrating life, but it's about celebrating death, and not only physical death, but transitions in general. Letting go of things that no longer serve you. And it's designed to invoke the overall spirit of Samhain itself, which is very much a time of letting go, of shifting and changing. Samhain is the end and the beginning of the wheel of the year, and it's the start of what we call magical downtime. So it's very much a transitional time, and this spell is meant to help us through that time and to help us transition and change and grow and die and be reborn. So let's get started. So this is the altar that I've set up for the ritual. And first of all, I wanted to show you the page from my Book of Shadows. And the date at the top is 10/28/02. So gods, nearly 18 years ago I wrote this ritual called the Samhain-Time Ritual, and I don't think I've ever showed it to anyone else. I've only ever performed it on Halloween night. I'll be doing that again this year, but for you all, I'm gonna perform it now so you can see. So I apologize in advance for this shot being turned vertical, but it's really the only way I could set this up and have my hands free. So with that said, I would like to explain to you kind of what everything is on the altar. So some of it is very specific to the spell, so I'll start with that. For the spell, you need an orange candle, which is going to represent life in the spell, and a black candle, which is going to represent death. Also, some essential oil. So the spell actually calls for amber oil, but I am all out. So instead I'm using orange oil. And so the idea is to have an oil that is sweet to you, that reminds you of life, that resonates with you to represent life. So the other oil I chose is camphor. And camphor is a very strong scent. It's almost bitter, and that reminded me of death, and so I chose that one for the black candle. And so with these oils, in turn, as you're saying the incantation, which I will share with you in a moment, you will dress the candles with each of these oils in turn. And if you're new to dressing candles, you've never done it before, I'll link my video on blessing and dressing a candle, so that you can start there and learn how to dress and bless a candle first before this spell. And so really all you need for this spell are the incantations that I have written, the 2 candles, and the 2 oils. I have also chosen a few things that represent life and death and transitions to me. So one of them, or a few of them, are these beautiful autumn leaves that I picked up on my walk in the woods the other day. A raven, so the messenger. And this stone is usually on my ancestor altar. This is, has always looked to me like a bone with marrow in it, which is represented to me not only life but death, and I usually put this on my ancestor altar. So I can't remember what it is though, what the stone is. A few quartz crystals for energy, as you can see here. I'm not sure why, but I wanted to bring these keys in, but I think that that's about transitions and thresholds and opening doorways. And that's really kind of it. So let's get started on the actual spell. And one other thing, I might have said this before or said it incorrectly, but you want to make sure that you dress the candles first. You want to start with the black one, because that's the first one that you are talking about in the spell. And next would be the orange one. So I've already blessed them for our purposes. So the first thing that you want to do is light your candles. Oh, and as I'm blessing each candle and dressing it with the oil, I'm focusing on how each one represents death and life, respectively. So focus on that. Spend some time charging your candles. So let's start with the black. And ideally, also, you want to choose 2 candles that are the same. I was shooting for an orange and black candle, either both tapers or both tapers made from paraffin, and or from beeswax, rolled beeswax, like the orange one. But I found it very hard to find a black beeswax candle, rolled wax, and I also found it very hard to find an orange taper candle. I don't know why for that one. So, but it was a struggle. So, hopefully the reason you want to choose 2 candles that are the same is so that they burn out around the same time. It's not the end of the world if they don't. But anyway, let's get started. So the incantation is as follows. 2 candles have I, one for death, one for life, one black, and one orange. The black for things that must pass away, like negativity and old destructive ways, past loss of love, anger, and hurtful, hateful displays. Yet it promises life after rebirth. It promises growth and healing and mirth. The orange for things that are needed for endurance, like love and hope and trust, courage, strength, kindness, and the will to do as we must. Yet it promises the ending of life with its color of fallen leaves and rest in the world to come, when our solace we shall receive. And then I always say this incantation thrice. 2 candles have I, one for death, one for life, one black and one orange. The black for things that must pass away, like negativity and old destructive ways, past loss of love, anger, and hurtful, hateful displays. Yet it promises life after rebirth. It promises growth in healing and mirth. The orange for things that are needed for endurance, like love and hope and trust, courage, strength, kindness, and the will to do as we must. Yet it promises the ending of life, with its color of fallen leaves, and rest in the world to come, when our solace we shall receive. 2 candles have I, one for death, one for life, one black and one orange. The black for things that must pass away, like negativity and old destructive ways, past loss of love, anger, and hurtful, hateful displays. Yet it promises life after rebirth. It promises growth and healing and mirth. The orange for things that are needed for endurance, like love and hope and trust, courage, strength, kindness, and the will to do as we must. Yet it promises the end of life, with its color of fallen leaves, and rest in the world to come, when our solace we shall receive. So mote it be. And that's it. And then I usually let these candles burn for as long as I feel like at a time. You can continue to let them burn until they go out. Just be very mindful that you want to be with them so that you don't set anything on fire. The way I normally do it is I trust my intuition. So if it feels like it's burned enough for the moment, then I will blow it out and I will leave it for later, and I will come back and I will say the incantation again thrice. It's all up to you, and it's all up to your own truth and intuition. So like I said, this is a spell to remind us about the changing of the seasons, about Samhain-Time, and about how it's not only a death, but it's a rebirth. It's how throughout our lives we go through deaths and rebirths, and how death is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced, even physical death, for it's only a step along the path. And so yeah, that's it. I will post a PDF of this with this video, so that you can have the page from my Book of Shadows to reference for your own spell. And so there you have it. As always, thank you all for joining me here. Please check out my other videos. And blessed Samhain in advance. Blessed fall, blessed turning of the seasons. And thank you all again. Blessed be.